FBI, too, that you believe is a lie?
I have seen Brett drunk to the point he could easily be passed out.
But you never saw him passed out?
No, I never saw him passed out, but I saw him quite drunk.
All right, that is Judge Brett Kavanaugh's Yale classmate, Chad Ludington, right after stating to reporters that Kavanaugh has not told the truth and denying the possibility that he blacked out from drinking during his testimony. But Ludington has passed his statement on to the FBI, but you heard him say right there he never himself actually saw Kavanaugh pass out. Okay, well, the White House reportedly wants to expand the probe just slightly, so it's unclear whether college drinking is going to be part of that. Let's bring in John Iannarelli, retired FBI special agent, and Chris Swecker, the former assistant director of the FBI. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Okay, our friend and colleague, you know him well, I'm sure, Andy McCarthy writes this. He says, in a background investigation, the FBI simply checks its indices, things like data banks or rap sheets, and conducts interviews with colleagues, associates, neighbors, and other acquaintances of the nominee. The point is not to conduct criminal investigations of any allegations that develop. So, Chris, my question to you is, what will be different than what the Senate has done so far?
Well, first we need to get our terminology straight. These are called special inquiries, not FBI investigations, and that's to distinguish between a traditional criminal investigation and what essentially is a background check. And this background check is record checks and interviews primarily. So what's happening here is they're updating an earlier background check or spin and following up on some derogatory information. They'll do quite a few interviews, and they'll take it where it needs to go. But I don't think they're going to go down a bunch of rabbit holes and talk about high school and college drinking unless it's around the overall context of a sexual assault.
Okay, so Senator Tom Cotton has tweeted this. He said, for goalpost moving Democrats and your media wing, I've been interviewed many times for FBI background checks for classmates, soldiers, and nominees. Every time agent asked about any drinking problems, you really think FBI missed that in 6 background checks of Judge Kavanaugh? So, John, my question to you is, do you think they will delve into that? Because you saw his old classmate who said, I've reached out to the FBI. I want them to know what a bad drinker he was.
Well, first of all, those questions have already been asked by Judge Kavanaugh, not once, but this is the 7th time now that the FBI is doing a special inquiry. They're going to ask about the allegations that have been made and try to get the specifics to that, and hopefully we're going to have all that cleared up this week.
Yeah, how quickly can this happen, Chris?
As soon as it needs to happen. I mean, a week is enough. The FBI, is, especially in the area of conducting spins, are used to short deadlines. The clock is always running on them, and they have the resources. And the same 2 agents aren't going to do all the interviews. They're going to farm them out. If it's Paducah, Kentucky, an agent in Paducah will go out and do it. If it's L.A., agents in L.A. will do it, and they'll document it that evening. There's a command post set up at FBI headquarters.
Okay.
They're shooting leads by phone in every direction. They'll get it done.
Okay, so the local agents can be handling this. They send them into the sort of clearinghouse central, and they're then going to compare and collate the stories. Okay, so former FBI Director James Comey said this in an op-ed. Partly he says, it is idiotic to put a shot clock on the FBI, but it is better to give professionals 7 days to find facts than have no professional investigation at all. John, your response?
Well, Director Comey, I remember coming out and talking about Hillary Clinton saying, hey, we found more emails on a laptop, and just a few days later, that was cleared up. So I think if we can handle it for a presidential candidate, we could probably handle it for a drinking party that took place 36 years ago.
All right. Well, a lot of folks say that it's tough because of the witnesses that we've heard so far, they either said, I have no recollection of that party or any of these events, or have outright denied that they took part or that they ever saw Brett Kavanaugh behave in this manner. So, Chris, how do they get any closer to finding the truth? What is the ultimate task for the FBI in this special investigation?
The task is, to the best of their ability, determine the facts. And they'll get witness interviews. They'll try to corroborate. If there's some contemporaneous record available, whether it's a calendar or a diary or some employment record somewhere at a Safeway store, they'll put their hands on it. They'll try to find a house and see if it fits the description as it was described by Dr. Ford. So there are small ways to try to corroborate or contradict the things that our witnesses are saying. It's unfortunate that this didn't come up 6 weeks ago when the complaint first came in, because they then could have done it discreetly and they would know that the witnesses they're talking to didn't get their facts from the media.
Yeah,
The media has fairly well tainted most of these interviews.
Yeah, it's tricky. All right, so John, we know that a number of the people that they have that are key players here have either given sworn statements or they've made public statements or some kind of sworn declaration. But once you sit down with a federal agent to answer questions about these specific allegations, what dangers are you facing if you are not 100% completely honest?
You better tell the truth. Lying to the FBI in and of itself is a federal crime that can be punishable by prison. If you don't know the answer, if you don't remember the answer, don't make something up. Just tell the truth as you remember, and if you don't know, say I don't know.
And quickly, to either of you, will they have attorneys present, can people, while they're being questioned by the FBI? Is that a yes or no?
Sure.
They can have attorneys present. We like to talk to them without because attorneys tend to interrupt and say, don't answer that question.
Yeah, we've seen that many times during the hearings as well. All right, John and Chris, thank you both for your expertise. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, a busy weekend for the Golden State's Democratic governor. California's Jerry Brown deciding the fate of a bill to mandate abortion pills on college campus, while also doing a number on corporate boardrooms when it comes to women. He's taking a lot of heat over that one from big business. Stick around. To commemorate tragedy that happened at 10 o'clock local time, 1 a.m. Eastern, a year ago. That's going to mark the exact moment when the shots first rang out in the most lethal mass shooting in U.S. history. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt joins us now with how Vegas is handling this dark day.
Shannon, it has been and continues to be a day of somber remembrance here in Las Vegas. It began with a sunrise ceremony that included a 58-second moment of silence, 1 second for each of those who was killed on October 1st, 2017. Then the symbolic release of 58 white doves. For those who attended that concert and who survived America's worst mass shooting, it is, of course, a particularly difficult day. One of those was Natalie Grummet. She was shot in the face. She has gone through 8 surgeries. More will have to happen. We spoke to her about her memories of that terrible night.
We all got down on the ground, and it was extreme chaos. You know, people are yelling for help. People are yelling to run. People are yelling to stay down. And you don't know what to do. You just want to get out of there and survive and go back to your family and friends. And you think about everybody in your life that's significant, and you want to return to them.
One of the toughest things for everybody who experienced the horrors of October the 1st is, of course, that there are no answers as to why Stephen Paddock did what he did, taking so many weapons up to his room on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel and then raining bullets down on those innocent concert goers. But Vegas wants to move on too, Shannon, and for that reason, the city's post-shooting hashtag has also been changed. It was Vegas Strong. It is now Vegas Stronger. Shannon?
Good for them. Jonathan, thank you very much. Well, tonight's Midnight Hero is a true American hero by every definition of that word. Former Staff Sergeant Ronald J. Schur received the Medal of Honor at a White House ceremony today. The former Army medic was part of a Special Operations Task Force in 2008 in Afghanistan when his unit came under fire. Schur tended to 4 critically wounded soldiers, lowered casualties down a mountainside, all while using his body to shield his patients from enemy fire. He was shot in the head. Schur not only survived, but he's now a member of the Secret Service. Across the board, a true hero. Most watched, most trusted, most grateful you spent the evening with us. Good night from Washington.